Around the time I was in secondary school, I found this little drum pad app on my phone. You press colorful buttons to make grooves, melodies and all kinds of sounds. It wasn't anything fancy, but man, it really lit something up in me. It gave me the itch to create, and that's when I started down the path of making music. The path of trying to tell stories through sound. As fun as those apps were, I wanted something more, and I kept seeing videos online of people performing with these glowing tablet things, making light shows and creating the music I loved listening to. But I had no idea what they were called, so I did some digging and eventually came across the Launchpad. So that Christmas, it was my only wish. Unboxing it was an absolute game changer. It was like opening a new world, and with it, I was introduced to my first DAW, Ableton. I had to figure out what a DAW actually was and how I would use it, but soon I was spending hours making loops, sounds, and absolute monstrosities of music. But I was having a blast, and I was slowly figuring out what I could build. And that's when I started watching a bunch of YouTube tutorials to try to maximize how much I could learn. And they kept pointing me somewhere else. And I would soon discover that there were plenty of DAWs out there. Everything from Ableton to Logic to Cubase to Pro Tools to Reaper to Cakewalk, it was a massive list, all at different price points. Everything from free to pricey. And it all felt like a gigantic maze. But FL Studio just felt right, and at the time, it was absolutely everywhere. Every tutorial I watched, and so much of the music I loved. Tracks from artists like Martin Garrix and Avicii had one thing in common. They were made using FL Studio. I decided to grab the free version, the trial version of FL Studio, and I quickly realized that I couldn't reopen any saved projects, so I ended up making full songs in a single day. I had no other choice. I even screenshotted my piano rolls because I didn't know I could save MIDI files. I hoarded every free plugin I came across and filled folders with MP3 files. But looking back at it, not being able to reopen project files forced me to work faster and in some ways smarter. Pushing stock and free plugins became my thing. They could do wonders if I used them the right way. And that's actually how one of my first tracks was made. 2 days total, one for gathering ideas and one for the full production. And that track ended up being used in my interview for music high school. And it would be the reason I got accepted. After using the free version of FL Studio for quite a while, it finally felt right to move on to the full version, and opening it for the first time was absolutely amazing. It felt like getting a huge toolbox full of new sounds and new possibilities. FL Studio was incredible, but it also led me straight into a big trap: plugins. Suddenly, every company was telling me I needed this VST or that plugin to sound professional. I found myself loading up shopping carts with new plugins, and I was ready to click buy. And I almost fell for it. But the trial version had already taught me something important. You don't need the most expensive plugins to make good music. You just need to ask yourself one key question: what can I do with what I already have? The best investment I ever made wasn't a plugin, it was a MIDI keyboard. It bridged the gap between me and my DAW. It let me create melodies that felt more human, more alive, and it helped me express the stories I wanted to tell. Learning an instrument took my music to a new level, both musically and emotionally. And any instrument can help you achieve that, but the keyboard, it was my connection to my music. Meanwhile, high school was getting intense. Regular finals, music finals, concerts, all while I kept chasing the perfect sound. My perfectionism was wearing me down. But that's when everything clicked. Scoring for choirs, bands, and dance performances opened my eyes to film music. Hans Zimmer's Pirates, John Powell's Dragons, and John Williams' Star Wars, these composers told stories without a single word. And that sparked something in me. Scoring for school shows felt like home. Seeing people connect with my music, feel it in their own way. That's when I knew that storytelling through music was my thing. Around the same time, I was doing a bunch of remix competitions. They were great. I loved the boundaries they set, having to use certain vocals or certain loops. And that's when I discovered that constraints can actually make you more creative. But I was in desperate need of feedback. My own head wasn't quite enough. The remix competitions might end up giving you a score or a few written notes, but it was my dad's feedback that became the most valuable. He was completely honest with me, and a fresh pair of ears helped me more than anything. And yes, sometimes the feedback really stung, but it made me better. And that's a big part of why we built our community. A place where you can get feedback, share your work, learn new things, and grow with other producers. We've also put together lists of free plugins and resources that you don't want to miss. Blank pages are the worst. You sit there, stuck, nothing coming out. But I learned to start small. A single note, an image, a moment from life, people, places, even a random video, they can all spark an idea. And what about music theory? I've never been the type to dive deep into textbooks. Theory is definitely useful. It helps you communicate with other musicians and understand why things work. But it's not where ideas start. For me, the most important thing is to listen. What's the feeling? Hum it, play it, follow where it wants to go. The theory can come later. It's a tool, not an obstacle you have to conquer first. I'm still chasing new ways to tell stories through sound. There's so much left to learn, new sounds to discover, and honestly, I can't wait to see where it goes next. And now it's your turn. Go make something that feels like you. And start that one project you've always wanted to start. Ha det!